Welcome to today's episode of Biz Real Talk, where we're talking all around collaboration, sisterhood, and the times it doesn't go so well. So, joining me on the panel today, we have Taylor, Martha, Amy B, and Elizabeth. So, ladies, do you want to do a little intro about yourselves? Taylor, you're at the top of my screen, so go first.
Hi, my name is Taylor Smith and I'm a business consultant. So I support female entrepreneurs to package up their brilliance into premium offers and use other financial strategies to help grow their business and also make more money, but also get more freedom.
Thank you, Taylor. Martha, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Martha Brown, and I'm a coach who helps busy moms in business juggle all the goodness that we have in our lives going on. We're already the CEO of our homes. Why not be great CEOs of our business? And I do that using AI and some other incredible tools and tactics to help you get more time back so you can have fun too. So,
Thank you, Martha. Amy,
Hi, I'm Amy from She's the CEO. I'm a team strategist and leadership coach. So I help female founders of scaling brands build the team and system behind their brands so they can scale without overworking, overwhelm, and burning out.
thank you, Amy. And last but not least, Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm the owner and founder of Fruitful Womb Doula Services. I'm a certified holistic women's health coach and doula based in Saskatchewan, Canada. I specialize in women over 30 during their reproductive years from fertility to menopause. I'm passionate about whole body health, herbalism, and nourishment. And when I'm not a doula or a coach, I'm a preschool teacher and I live on a farm. So many, many hats.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So I guess for me with this topic, it's a love-hate relationship with collaboration and sisterhood. And also a love relationship because obviously that's how this show was born and I love community and I love collabing. But I've also had the other side of things too, where collaboration and sisterhood hasn't quite gone how I expected it to. So that's why I really want to open up this conversation because I know there's a lot of women out there that will go on networking groups and they'll try and network with people and connect with people to be sold, like then people in their DMs trying to sell to them after they thought they've had a really good conversation. And then there's obviously similar experiences to mine where we like I've collaborated with people and taken a step into improving like I worked with a friend on her business and I went in as partner and then it all went downhill where I ended up losing thousands of pounds where she ended up with a 30K month. So it's I'm just looking at Taylor's face right now. I'll go to that a little bit more later. But I think it's really important to open this conversation because there's going to be a lot of women out there that are going to be fearful of collaboration for that reason. But like I said, I then had really positive collaborations following that. So who wants to start? Who wants to open the conversation up?
I'm happy to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's not so much that I've ever had like a really bad experience. For me though, and I'm not sure if anyone else has found this, so I feel like there's a lot of talk in the industry, like business in general, like go women, like, we run the world, like amazing. And I love it. I love that type of energy. However, when it comes to actually collaborating or promoting or whatever you want to call it, actually getting practical leg up. Like say you're just starting out, and this was my experience. I was going to all these women things, and I was like, yeah, oh my goodness, like yeah, like I'm so in it. And when you actually have these conversations, and actually you're starting out, and you actually could just do with like a bit of a lift up, whatever that might look like a 10-minute chat on someone whose audience who's got like thousands and is making huge amounts of money, just having a snippet of their time in front of their audience could really make do wonders for you. I found those practical things really hard to come by, personally, in my experience. But I was going to all of these, in-person events, and it's like women this, women that, and everyone was geared up. And I just thought, yeah, but when it actually comes to, actually really supporting other women, like, what are you actually doing to help? And I get it, we're all in business and we all need to make money. I'm not saying at all that, you should be handing out freebies if that doesn't feel aligned for you. But I just feel like we could be doing more. like, and not loads more, just a little bit more to just support each other. And I don't really know what that looks like, but that's just been my experience. And I didn't know if anyone else had felt the same, or I'm not sure. It might just be me.
I guess a lot of people are scared of shared audiences, right? Because they think that if they bring someone in who they see potentially as competition, because they're very similar, in their businesses, um, they feel like they're going to lose their income stream,
Mm,
or at least some of it.
mm,
I mean, I don't focus on that, as you all know. I focus like me and the other Amy, for example, our businesses in some respects are very similar because I don't niche down to, I just work generally with mums in business. I don't niche down as much as Amy has. But we love collabing together. We've done several things together in the
mm,
last few months, and we never see each other as competition. I think it's that kind of, do you know what I mean? It's like you can either see it as competition
mm.
or you can see it as actually helping each other out.
Yeah,
And I think it depends on your personality type as well, as
yeah,
to, what your motivators are. I
yeah.
mean, Martha, you're nodding. What are your thoughts?
I um I agree, like with Taylor, like when I first started, people were like, yes, we support each other, we're rah rah, but then it would be crickets. I'm like, oh, could we do like an exchange or something like that? And I had a few people come back, well, my audience is a lot bigger than yours. So what can you do in return? All this kind of stuff. So like I would talk with that because I get that too. But it was like I don't want to, it was like this fear rather than it being like knowing that there is abundance around us, right? That there's this fear that you're going to steal all of my clients,
Mm,
or like I was going to steal, and that's not where it is. I feel like to continue to be able to lift each other up, because even if all of us here did the same exact thing, there are going to be people who are drawn to each of us because of what we bring to the table, maybe something that has connected us with them, our story, where we've been, what we do now, right? Just a little bit of something, even personality wise. Like I want to work with somebody who I know what I want. Like if I want somebody who wants going to call me out on something, then I know what I'm looking for, right? And
mm,
so that's kind of where I am. And I've started shifting that too in like some of the like groups I run and stuff. I'm like, I always have a thing like share what you have going on, or when we're on live, I'm like, share what you have going on. Like I want you to support each other and
mm,
connect.
mm,
Because and honestly, I think it's like I don't know, this is going to sound like I did it for this reason, but since I have done that, like my energy has increased. But because my energy's increased, I've been like drawing more people to me also because I'm not in that negative energy of that fear of there's not enough people to go around or not enough money to go around.
mm.
That's just been my experience. But yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And exactly mirror what you said. Even if we're all doing the same thing, we could all have a completely different perspective based on our life experience or what we've gone through. So like you said, different people will be drawn to different things. And yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. So it's almost a little bit frustrating that like, why can't everyone just see that? Like there is enough, there's more than enough for everyone. Like you don't have to, oh, like protect my circle, especially when you're like uber super successful anyway. Like, come on. Even if you lost 5 clients, it would make a difference to you. But yeah, no, but I completely agree with everything you said, Martha.
No, I get it because my experience of having coaches, for example, I before I had the coach I have now, years ago, I had a coach, or two coaches as sisters, and they were brilliant. And my time came to an end with them, and I didn't renew because I just wanted to focus on what was going on at the time and not invest anymore at that point. I was investing in physical products and my kind of building my ranges as opposed to building my knowledge. I felt I'd done that enough for that period of time. So when I looked at getting a coach again, obviously I was really torn between the coach I have now and the coach I had previous to that because I got a real good connection with both. But I was like, I really needed someone who was gonna be on my ass if I weren't doing the things I should be doing. So I mean, she was gonna like push me, and that's what my coach does. Like she will call me out on my BS if I'm procrastinating, if it's fear, if it's trauma response. She'll just look at me and she go, Sarah, is that how it is? I'm like, Is that the reality? Is that the truth? Are you telling yourself the truth? That's fine if it is, but are you telling yourself the truth? And she'll just call me out and she'll call me forward to like really push myself.
Mm.
And I felt the coach I had before, because she came into my life, they came into my life when I was just separated from my husband. I was in quite a vulnerable space, and they were kind of like the nurture. I was like,
Mm.
nurtured me as well as giving me the support and the skill set that like helped me fill the skill gaps. Um, I was like, when I told my previous coach that obviously I was signing up with Andrea, she was so happy. Like they knew each other. They'd had the same coach for, quite a while themselves. They were peers. And she was just so happy. There was no malice there over competition and, oh,
Mm.
she's lost a client to one of her peers. There was none of that. It's like you will go to who feels right for you and feels
Mhm.
aligned to you at the time, and that's okay.
Mhm.
I think that's where I really saw the true essence of kind of sisterhood and
Mhm.
wanting to support each other. And that's, yeah. I mean, Amy, what are your thoughts?
I hadn't actually thought about it like Taylor said, but just listening to that conversation, it actually made me think a lot of people that do come into this space are from corporate and like wanting to escape that. But if you've been a female in an exec role and kind of the only one in the room, I think it's a bit of a legacy from that like there's only space for one female at the board table. And I can see how that kind of plays into that scarcity of, oh, if there's only one seat, I need it to be mine. Excuse me. But I think my experience has been, I haven't done really any collaborations as such. My experience has been putting myself in rooms with women, and my experience has been when I've paid to be in those spaces, I've found the woman that I can like not necessarily collaborate with, but I was in a mastermind last year, like not a cheap one. And I probably what I've said to multiple people about that is that the most value I got was the relationships that have continued into this year. Like I don't think the value was there in the actual content, but in terms of the woman I met, like I have some powerhouse women that we get on a Zoom once a month, or you can go. I've got one that lives in Melbourne, and we walk every couple of weeks, and we just go, "This is happening with my meta ads," or what do I do about this client with this? Or I'm getting stuck in my head. Can we just chat it out? And to me, there's huge value in that. But I've also been in spaces with women who, it's another group and it's free to be there, or it's $10 a month to be there. And I feel like everyone's looking for what they can get versus what they can contribute. And my experience has been that when you are financially investing in something quite significantly, you show up differently in terms of like you're not only willing to give, but you're also looking for people that, like you were saying, Sarah, like want to contribute to you, hold you to account, like have tough conversations because they want those tough conversations back. And so it's just for me, I've been conscious of trying to I'm in a couple of spaces that aren't paid, and trying to take that mentality of like, what can I offer, what can I give, and not getting into like fluffy conversations, because I think that perpetuates this like, what's in it for me? Like we have these like lovely dinners, but we're not actually showing up to support and help each other. And so then that perpetuates kind of this like not really working together. So I guess I'm taking it as I need to be what I want to see.
I love that. That's not an angle I'd actually thought of,
Mm.
and actually thinking about paid containers and masterminds, like you said, you know, actually my membership was based on sisterhood and creating a sisterhood for other women and other mums where they're completely supported in all areas of their life. And that stemmed from the kind of the friendships and the connections and the sisterhood I found you know, my within my pet like the paid containers I'm in. And we're like one big family. We're like best friends. We know the ins and outs of each other's lives. We know all the challenges. We support each other in all that. And it was about giving that opportunity to other women to create that for themselves, because I didn't see that happening in the
Yeah.
free containers. So yeah, I completely agree. I hadn't even thought of it from that aspect, but yeah, I completely agree. What are your thoughts, Elizabeth?
I mean, how much time do I get? I mean, when I first started this, I was 18 years old when I became a doula. So the space I was in my local community, they normally have a doula group where you can connect with other doulas. And so it's like a whole group of doulas. So the person that had introduced me to doula work had actually been someone I had known growing up. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. So we normally connected for like mentorship and all that stuff. And I actually found my very first client was a lady we both knew. So I was pretty excited about it. I mean, first client 2 months in, wow, awesome sauce. But unfortunately, like halfway through, right, as we were getting into things, this other lady that had originally introduced me to dual work, she had convinced this other lady that I wasn't skilled enough. That even though this lady who had hired me knew that I was starting out, with trainings, you need like tester clients in a sense almost. And she was like, no, 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 this lady's just no good for you. So I don't know how she had relayed the information to me. I think it was through Facebook and everything. And she was like, yeah, I got to fire you because, you're not skilled enough. And, I don't know if, you'd be really of any assistance to me really to be there, even though this was like her second or third child. And she was completely in agreement originally, knowing what skill level I was at. But so in the beginning, I was like, after that, very leery on who knew who. So it was kind of feeling like a very dog eat dog world a little bit with things. And there's some other communities that are doulas worldwide a little bit. And in those groups, many times they often say that this is how local communities are. Whereas you shouldn't look at it that way because how many people are having babies every year? Like, and as Martha had said too, we find different things in different people we like. Like, you're not connecting with everybody. It's just not possible. So for me, that's kind of my initial story with collaboration. I mean, I've had good ones since, but it's been a little trickier to make connections because I'm like, are you gonna like kind of snuff me under the table later on? And I mean, I don't mean to come into a space with that negative energy, but it does put you at like a bit of a shield, as you would say, just to protect yourself because you're like, well, I don't really want to have that happen again. So yeah, that was my very interesting story with collaboration I've had in the past. So.
No, I completely get it. So obviously, I mentioned a little bit of mine earlier, and it was essentially during COVID. I had held a craft fair in my garage, like before COVID. Met a woman that I became really good friends with. Her business online had turned over £25 a year, but her business had turned over a lot of money at craft events. So she definitely had a viable business. Anyway, COVID hit. We kind of teamed up. I rebranded everything. I was coming up with marketing, looked at all pricing structure, looked at all the foundations, literally went in almost like a business analyst and literally pulled the business apart to see what could happen and change. She brought me in as partner, but because we was in the hustle and bustle of things, we didn't do the contract. Always do a contract, no matter how much you trust people. That's what I say. Even even more so if you really trust them and you're really close to them, get a contract. Everything, every outline, everything. I didn't do that, and I invested because I can particularly run my business wasn't doing great when COVID hit because everyone was about essentials, right? What I made and sold were luxury items. They weren't a necessity, they were a want, not a need. Um, but because it was a cosmetics business, then we did hand sanitizers and stuff in her business. It was a necessity. It could run like throughout COVID. We could still trade without any issues. We'd go out. So we basically invested in a unit where we could manufacture, so almost like a little mini factory. I paid to have everything set up, called in like my ex-husband and his son and everybody I knew who were tradies, like proper kitted it out, spent thousands. And after nearly a year, I still hadn't taken a penny, yet we'd managed to turn it into a 30K month business within around 6 months. And I got to a point where I left with nothing. I actually left out of pocket because I was like, I can't commit my time to this anymore without a financial return. So then when I came to do my next collaboration, which obviously guys have heard about, so obviously the print business, I was really reluctant. And I was so, to be fair, both me and my previous business partner both been screwed over. So we had some trust issues. You know what, that collaboration is probably the best one to date other than this that I've done because, there's that trust has grown. for him, he won't collaborate with anyone other than me. He still has that kind of just there issue there, but it allowed me to trust in collaboration again. And they can work. They can work really, really well. It's about being very clear on what the expectation is from everybody. And if you've got the contract there and it's everything's in black and white, you know, you haven't got to worry so much. I mean, what's everyone's thoughts at the minute? Feel free to jump in.
I think we've got to be like smarter, like with this, like Taylor mentioned, this like rah rah go woman. Like you need to do your same due diligence on potential female partners as you would a man. Like why would we expect it to be any different? Like in anything, there is great people and there are people that have different priorities to you or expectations to you, and you really need to look at your business partner quite critically in a good way and going, are we aligned on how we want to operate? Are we aligned on what, you know, our expectations are, on what our core values are? Like a lot of the things I do with my clients is like how you utilize core values to the core values of your business is actually how you set the culture and the standard for your business, which is like you use them every day in your language of people. It's how you can have uncomfortable conversations around like people's behaviors. A lot of people come to me going, they keep doing this and I don't know how to talk about it. And I'm like, yes, but one of your core values is communication. So they're not living, you know, like you can have conversations that way. But I think in your business partner, like you have to be as diligent as you would if you were hiring someone for your business or you're looking for a like long-term partner. We can't just go, oh, she's so fun and lovely and I'd totally like to have a wine with her. Like you can have a business partner who you want to spend zero time with outside of work, and you could be the best couple to work together. Like I'm not a great CEO, I like to say, because I'm like CEOs need to be visionary and, you know, like create these beautiful pictures. And I am not that. And I used to feel so bad about that, but I'm like an amazing COO because I'm like, you tell me your vision and you're like, we're going to do this. And I'm like, not going to happen. But if we do A, B, C, D, E, we can make that a reality, right? So look for and I think we talked about this on a previous episode, but look for the person that complements you, but is not the same with you. You're not looking for a friend, and be very clear about that when you go into business with someone. If you end up being friends, amazing, but you're not looking for friends when you're going into business. So I think we need to be smarter, like not looking for like hype and rah-rah, but actually doing our due diligence and thinking what would complement my current skill set.
Yeah. I mean, do we think there are quite a few people out there, especially women, who are more competitive? I want to phrase it as more competitive in nature than we'd like to think. As in, they put on the niceties to become your friend. In the background, they're not sharing the same core values, and they are essentially looking to screw you over. Do you think that's quite a common thing?
I'm not sure. Oh, sorry, go on.
Go tell her.
No. Oh, I'm not sure if it's a common thing. I think unfortunately in the world we live in today, there are going to be people like that. I think you'll find them in from every different kind of walk of life. You know, it doesn't have to be a certain type of person or come from a certain background or whatever. I think unfortunately, for whatever reason, there are people looking to try and get one up or trying to steal something maybe that you've created or trying to do something to benefit themselves. Unfortunately, I think that's just the world we live in. I haven't met anyone like that yet, touch wood. And I hope that I don't. I hope none of you don't. But I think, yeah, I think like Amy was saying, you know, be vigilant and, you know, you have conversations and get to know people as much as you can. And if someone pulls the wool over your eyes, you know, all you can do is try your best. And if that happens, it's unfortunate, but it's kind of, yeah, there's not really much you can do
It
about
is a
it.
learning
It
curve.
is,
It,
it
it,
is.
it does teach you a lot because every
Mm,
time something, you know, that was the worst thing that had ever happened as far as the collaboration, obviously, for me. There were
yeah.
other bits where I'd collab with people and, you know, that it just didn't work out because they couldn't commit the time, they initially profit, or whatever it might be, just little things.
Mm,
Um, And I just learned from that each time. It made me realize, like Amy was saying, I need to be more vigilant in not just say yes to every collaboration.
Mm.
Because we know I love to, even within the previous businesses, it was about kind of taking women who wouldn't have the same opportunities as what I had and kind of help them, step up. That's just what I'm about. And so I would lead with that rather than being smarter about it again. Actually, are they choosing to be there? Am I overgiving? Am I being too trusting? I wasn't doing my due diligence because as a business owner, because I was leading with my heart completely and ignoring any logical or any intuition that I may have had. I would push my intuition to one side because I really wanted to see this person do well. So yeah, I get it. I mean, Martha, you're sitting very quiet. What are your thoughts?
I'm just listening. Just to go back to what Amy had mentioned, she's right. Like so many of us, because I came from kind of a corporate world too. It's like you had to fight for your seat at the table. So I can see where it's like very hard because and like thinking back when I first started business, same thing. I thought I had to fight for my seat at the table where I wanted to um be friends or like, work well with other people. It was hard. It's a hard shift to make, I think, because that's how we did. And even like, I mean, think about it, even as kids, I always felt like as not with friendships, but not that there's nothing wrong with competitiveness at all. I think it can bring out the best in all of us. However, it's like knowing when to have it and when not to have it, and also being very strategic in who we do collaborate with, right? Like it's okay, and knowing that it's okay to say no if someone asks you to collaborate and it doesn't fit in like what like your goal or your focus or your roadmap, whatever you call it, for your own business or for you is. Now, sometimes I'll be like, oh, let me think about this and see, does it play into what I'm doing? I'm just not seeing it. And other times I'm like, unfortunately, right now it's not a good fit. But if it is in the future, then I'm happy to look back at it. But it doesn't mean that I don't still support that person in what they do. There's other ways to support people than even collaborating on things. It could be, doing a Facebook Live swap with someone, or they have something great coming out and you share it out. Hey, my friend Taylor has this and this and this happening. Go check it out. Right. I don't have to collaborate with her on it. I'm not saying I want it, Taylor. I'm just saying, right, but there's other ways that we can support um and help and not it be like rah rah all the time as women too, but also then not spending so much time in collaboration for something that may not work for us, or which then in the long run won't work for them either. So
Yeah, I think one of the things that surprised me, which I absolutely loved, um, so Kath, who has been on as a guest speaker and is looking at coming in as a panelist, um, she'll randomly just share my stuff on her stories and on like she managed to like snap a picture when we was recording the other week, and it was on her Instagram and her Facebook, and she tagged me and I was like, I didn't even know you managed to get that picture. I think they're the nicest ones because you're not expecting it. It's not a you've asked for it, it's not a given. It's just people they're genuinely wanting to to celebrate you essentially and support you. I mean, Cass been in business forever and she's been really successful in every business that she's ever worked within and started, and so is her husband. And it just felt so I don't even know what word to use, how to describe it. But it just really did fill my cup, the fact that it showed they believed in what I was doing. And I think they're the like you said, it hasn't always got to be something like this or doing a masterclass for each other. It can be those little things like sharing or saying in your email when you send out your newsletter, hey, listen, my friend's got this going on. And like you said, Martha, it's those little things can really help to support one another. And I'm just a really big believer in collaboration marketing and shared marketing in general. So, which you wouldn't expect given everything that happened in the past. But yeah, I think when it's for the right reasons and it's with honesty and integrity and it's genuine, they're the best collaborations. And for me, I feel now that my gut instincts will tell me, my intuition tells me if something is right for me, if something isn't, or something just you just can't put your finger on it. That's the thing for me. If I things can seem great, but if I can't put my finger on something, that's my intuition telling me something's off. And I've started to listen to that. I mean, Elizabeth, you're sitting really quiet, lovely.
Well, I'm hearing a bee, so I'm a little distracted for a second. But honestly, I mean, as Martha and everyone has been saying, I mean, collaboration needs to be maybe more in that nice way, in a sense, putting yourself forward. And I think sometimes if you put what's the right way of saying this? But like if you do the effort, sometimes it's easier reciprocated from people than if you're waiting for somebody else to make the first move, really. Because what's that saying about like the mirror, like if you see the reflection other people will try to see theirs similar, or I don't know, I'm I'm mixing my words up today, it seems. But honestly, I've just been loving the conversation. I think everybody's right on the nail with it.
Thank you. I was going to ask you that. So for those that are watching, um, you know, when they think of collaborations, I know many people straight away kind of go straight to the whole business partner thing. Um, I mean, would it be valuable to kind of let the people know who are watching what we mean by collaboration, the different types of collaborations that they may not have thought of? Who wants to go?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Some collaborations I've been involved in, I think someone mentioned it earlier, was doing Instagram lives with other business owners. Where we're sharing, our audiences. We have a similar uh, ideal client, and so we kind of put different services. So it was good to team up. I've spoken on other business owner stages before and just shared some insights on, strategies and things like that. Um, Again, similar sort of ideal client, and I'm able to add value. To the audience, which the other businesswoman was happy with as well because the audience loved the value as well. So, speaking on stage, and I find speaking actually is probably the it's probably the quickest, not necessarily the easiest, but the quickest way to get to not only get the audience to experience a bit of you and a bit of what you're about, but also to share with as many people as possible. So if you're one of those people who are like, oh, I've got, all these things, I'd love to just share it with more people. If you're one of those people, definitely I would say speaking, whether it be on a stage, whether it be in a mastermind group or whatever that might look like, it's a really good way, and it might be a little bit scary at first, but actually the more you do it, it's brilliant. So I found those really useful if people are looking for collaborations.
Thank you. I kept getting told by some of my success sisters that my next challenge for myself should be to go and do speaking work. Kath and Dan have both turned around and were like, why don't you just go do it? We've got loads of people we can put you in touch with. I was like, let me get over the fact that I'm, doing a video podcast first because, that's a big challenge when you don't like being on camera, right? And you don't like your own voice. I'm challenging myself to this big stuff. Let me get this one out the way first. But yeah, it's definitely a consideration because it does build, audience, but in a way that, like you said, they get to experience you for who you are and a little bit of your skill set and your knowledge as well. So it creates authority, doesn't it? In a very authentic way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of your fear of speaking, you just do like me, you go in the middle of the night pretty much, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna totally do this. I could totally do it. Sign up for a bunch, get told you're gonna be doing it, and then think about it 3 months later, be like, oh, what did I get myself involved with? Because I've got like 3 coming up in the next 4 or 5 weeks, all lined up like in summer shows and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, what did I sign up for? I'm like now regretting it. I'm like, oh, but in that moment I thought it was good. So I'll have to just do it. I find cracking a joke in the beginning gets everybody like lighthearted a little bit because I did that with the preschool graduation. And after that, the first laugh, I'm like, okay, I got this. Now everyone knows I can do it. But I've done, in terms of your question originally, because I just dove right in. I have found that the easiest starting point was the bundles, like summits, or like, the online spaces where they're like, here, give a freebie and then you can sign up to the mailing list. Like those have really started me out good because you're just getting your name out there, but it's not really that on face. And like Taylor said, it's a little tricky getting out there in the talking and like podcasts and all those kind of things, right? So definitely bundles and summits. And I'm trying to think if there was another along the lines, email newsletter swap a little bit, like those kind of things are really beneficial.
Thank you. They are like I just when I do it though, I put myself forward for these things. It's kind of like I just have to run with it. If I stop and think about it, I freak myself out. That I guess that's why there's like we've got so many of these scheduled to record in such a short amount of time because if I stop and think, I'm gonna I'm gonna let that fear catch up, and I don't want the fear catching up because I don't want to be in that space. I don't want to be doing things from fear. I want to stay ahead of it, and I just want to keep my mind on why I'm doing it, if that makes sense. I'm guessing that Amy, and I'll come to you in a minute, Matt, but I'm guessing that Amy, you've got loads of collaboration ideas, right?
Uh, no, no. I think the talking one, like Taylor said, is a great one. I think it's people getting an experience of your work is great. And so one of the things that, and I guess I've predominantly partnered with product-based businesses versus service, so it's slightly different. But I think if for those in product-based businesses, like collaborations, which are like, competitions where you like 3 or 4 businesses will come together. So then you get exposure to 3 or 4 different brands, audiences. When you do that, they're really good ones because if you're doing competition yourself, it's 10 of something versus if you're with everyone else, it might just be 4 of something because they're also contributing to it. Those are really good. I mean, influencers, like that's collaboration, those types of things. So I just think whatever you're doing, like however you want to go about it, as long as they're people that are aligned with your brand, like it can look any way, shape, or form. There's not like, hey, collaboration needs to be like this. So I think outside the box as well. That's usually the stuff that gets you the best exposure, something slightly different.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. I even in all my old business, like, so I've still got the Facebook pages and stuff up, 'cause I haven't taken them down yet. Um, and I get emailed all the time about like basically like brands sending me products for free, like jewelry and clothing, especially sportswear. I don't know why, because like I do like 7 minutes exercise a day. Like that's all I do. As far as like exercise, like workouts, it's 7 minutes a day, including my warm up, I may add. Um, so I don't know why I get approached to do sportswear, but I am there going, do you know what? I used to turn all these things down because I didn't like being obviously on camera. I'm like, well, I'm doing that now, so maybe I should just say yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because if this show does what we want it to do and has that kind of reach, and then we can help smaller businesses get their names out there, why not? Do you know what I mean? We have the opportunity to collaborate with people who are watching this too, right? Because like we've all said, it's about if we've got a large audience and collectively between nearly 20 of us across the panel for the show, we've got a pretty decent audience base, right? So yeah, I guess that's I never even thought of, influencers and things like that. Not that any of us are influencers, we're business owners, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that we all wouldn't mind, sticking some jewelry on or something and giving a shout out to people or, you know, I know what we used to do, like with that business I mentioned. We used to have reps and they used to get everything like really dirt cheap. So that obviously they then sold it on at kind of retail price and made their income. But they used to get the word out. They used to kind of some of them used to buy certain products and then another rep would buy a certain amount of other products, like different product lines, and they kind of switch. And and collaborate on lives and things like that, and sales, and I don't know, like you said, Amy, it's about thinking outside of the box and just being creative with how you go about it, because it's not always that, everything that you think of initially. I mean, Martha, I'm guessing AI would give you loads and loads of out of the box ideas. So, as our little AI guru, for those that are watching, how could they maybe use AI to come up with some, I guess, strategies around collaboration that are a little bit more out of the box if they can't think of any?
Well, like literally, you could go into whether you use ChatGPT or Claude or like whatever your conversational AI tech is that you use, like go in there, especially if it knows you and your business, and or like tell it like, hey, this is what I do. This is who I work with. These are their main pain points. I'm looking at some possible collaborations. Could you help me think of some out of the box ideas to collaborate with others? Like, and you could say like, even like what other types of business owners, what products, like service based or like actual physical product based. I mean, the more detail you give it, the more you'll get from it. So just asking different ways like that, like, and I think so many of us are doing collaborations anyway that we don't realize it. So even if we have someone like take over our Instagram page for a day and talk about their business, that's a collaboration, right? Or like the swaps, like they talked about too. So, I mean, there's so many ways that we can support and collaborate with people that I think we don't realize that we're already, even like if I have a friend who shares a story about something they have going on and I literally reshare their story, well, that's just supporting someone else and their business. So, yeah, I
You
don't
know
know.
what? I never even thought of like taking over someone's Instagram for a day.
Or Facebook or a Facebook group,
You know what
even.
I mean? That actually, because I mean, a lot of business owners I work with, they really struggle with bigging themselves up, right? And but yet they can go to somebody else's and they can pull out all the USBs and like really like I never thought of that. Ooh, ooh.
The wheels
You've
are
got hey,
turning.
yeah, I know. Ooh, who can I switch accounts with for a day? And imagine if you've got like lots of people in your circle, especially like different skill sets and what have you, different styles. I guess as long as the branding, the bankers and stuff are, are there. Oh yeah, that's something I might have to discuss with all my ladies. Who's up for that? That would be quite a fun one to try. Yeah, that's out of the box. That's not something I thought of before. I'm just thinking, like, we haven't got long left of the show, but what are the kind of let's there's gonna be green and red flags here, right? So what are the red flags that we could maybe look for, or not necessarily look for, but if we're looking at collaborations, the red flags that maybe should indicate that we take a step back and be a bit more discerning. What are the red flags that you personally would look for now with that after your own experiences?
I would probably look at what I would go off the person and maybe the way that they talk, what seems important to them. I think if you're coming up with a collaboration and you're speaking to someone, you think you might have found someone that you want to do something with, have a conversation with them. And I think it was Amy that mentioned earlier, making sure that your core values are aligned. And yeah, I think that would be what I would do. Understand what it is they want to get out of it and why they want to get that sort of result. Like, what energy are they coming from? Um, and does that match yours? And everyone's going to be a little bit different, but if the language they're using and maybe the way that they're putting their point across doesn't feel right for me, I would at that point I would have to take a step back and just tell them like, oh, I don't quite see it from that point of view. Maybe I'm not too sure if we're quite aligned in the same way. Maybe we could revisit this at another point if it feels right. But definitely don't do something if it's not feeling right for you. Like you were saying, Sarah, like your instinct, that gut feeling that you get, definitely
Yeah.
stick with that. But yeah, mine would be if there's red flags from speaking with them and understanding more about them and what their mission is and why they want to collaborate, that's where I would be kind of like trying to listen out for anything that maybe doesn't feel right.
No, I get it. I guess it's a case of not forcing it either, because I know me and Kath, we've always said we want to collaborate together. We've said that for about a year and a bit, and we could have done anything to collaborate together, right? Just for the sake of collaborating. And when we've thrown a few ideas right now, that doesn't stick just yet. That doesn't stick with us just yet.
Mm,
We'll find what it is that we want to collaborate. We know it's something in person, which obviously I'm on one side of the country, well, one side of the UK, and she's in South Wales, right? So it's doing an in-person collaboration is something that's going to take a little bit of, planning and work. But we know we align completely in our values and our goals and what we want to achieve. But we're not just going to jump into a collaboration because of wanting to do a collaboration. We'll wait until we kind of find something that feels aligned. Do you know what I mean? That feels needed.
mhm,
That's much wanted needed by people.
mhm.
I guess, yeah, good instinct I'm finding in everything in business these days is crucial to me making the right decisions for me in my life and business anyway. Um, Amy, what do you think some of the red flags are, lovely?
I think if someone hasn't been in business before, they don't know what they don't know. And what I like to do, and this is not meant to be deceptive, but I like to have really thorough conversations with people and get them to talk about scenarios they've been in an authentic way, but how people talk about times where their back was against the wall or those types of things really lets you know how they respond to situations. Because I really think a lot of people getting into business going, I'm going to be all these amazing things. And if they were chatting with a potential partner, they would be saying that. But you actually don't know. Like, I think business, we've heard this 1,000 times, like business doesn't necessarily change people, in my opinion, but it brings out sides of people that they don't maybe have not come out before because they've not been challenged in that way. And so you can really pick that up when you hear people talk about this happened to me and this happened to me and it was just this person's fault and that person did this and like, are they taking any accountability? Because you have to take so much accountability in business, and it really often doesn't matter what other people do, and they may be out of integrity. It's how you respond. And so I think that's one thing to be really aware of, is if you're going to business someone who's never been in business before, they don't know what they don't know. And so have conversations with them which will show how they respond when their back's against the wall, because their back will be against the wall. No matter how successful or unsuccessful the business is, your back will always be against the wall at some point.
Yeah, I think that's in any business. Any business is going to have challenges at some point. Everyone, I think, because of like obviously it's different altogether, but because there's so much shown on socials on a daily about how easy business is, how, the online space now you can earn 6, 7 figures really quickly by just being an influencer or whatever, however it's presented. And actually, we said before, sustainable business and the viability of business, it, it just doesn't work like that in the real world, let's face it. It can happen for some people 9 times out of 10. You're gonna have them moments where you've got to make tough decisions and it's gonna be uncomfortable and it's gonna be scary. I mean, I had a client have a complete freak out over the weekend. She's got a great business, but she's like, this person said this about me pivoting my business, and this person said that, and completely freaked her out. And and her business partner is her husband, and he's finally started taking an active role. So he then started asking questions of, are we doing the right thing? And it can escalate so quickly because their backs are against the wall. It's like it's either do it now or never, because they've been growing how they've been going for 4 years. Okay, they've got a nice little business, but it's not really viable, and they're doing this big pivot into something that could be incredible. It will be incredible, completely aligned to them. But it's that like, whoo. So you need to be able to really get on the same page and have each other's backs. Obviously, we've said this before, Amy, having and I think Taylor was on that conversation as well, but having, different skill sets, different ways of looking at things, it then really helps. I think for me, going into collabs now, I liked how we created this collaboration, if that makes sense. Yes, it meant I was giving up to an hour of my time to every person I jumped on a call with, but You know, like when everyone was like, okay, well, this is my business, and it was very business focused. Like, no, tell me about you. Like, this is my story. This is my journey. This is what I'm doing. What I'm doing. What's your life like? What are you hoping to achieve in your business? Why are you doing the business? I wanted to understand what made everyone tick, what their motives were for doing everything, and to see if the conversation see if we just gel, and if the conversation was there. And it wasn't necessarily for me about the level of experience somebody had. Um, it wasn't a conversation, it wasn't the experience, it was whether it's gonna sound really, really weird, but whether they're a good person, whether they're in it for the right reasons. Probably because of my own experiences in the past. It's like, obviously, everyone wants to work together to build their audiences and get exposure and make more money. Like, that's business. That's what we're there to do, right? But underneath all that, why are they doing their business? What they're trying to create. I don't know. I like the process of jumping on a call. It's almost like a discovery call if I'm getting on a call with a potential client. Do you know what I mean? That's how I did it. But I guess that's what works for me. I know that's what works for me now. But what are the ways of, spotting whether it's a good collab opportunity, just to kind of, or anything we should avoid, just to kind of finish the conversation, round the conversation off. Anybody?
I think one thing too is like depending on the level of collaboration, like if it's like you are actually um meshing your part of your each of your businesses together in order to have an income from maybe a service that you're each doing. Maybe it's separate, but like it's almost like a third business, right? I think having like why can I not think like contracts or forms or just like having everything typed out so that way it can protect how you come out on the other side of it. It protects everybody. And it like, these are the expectations. This is how this is running. This is how like, is one person more of the go-to person? And this is more the person in the back scenes. Like, how does that work depending on what that is? And if someone isn't willing to do that, then that's like a big red flag. Like, oh, well, maybe this isn't a good thing because I'm just all about like, let's protect everybody because I also want to protect the relationship too. Even if it's not a friend, if I'm not like true friends with them, I still don't want to create, for lack of a better word, bad juju between me and anybody else either. So it helps to set boundaries on everybody and protects us too. So, and put good energy into it.
Yeah, I agree with you. If there's a reluctance from the other party to actually have something in writing,
Mhm.
these days, I just wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? I just wouldn't collaborate unless they're happy for it to be structured out so the expectations are clear. Ju- no. And I think it's just good business sense. But I think a lot of people, when they're first starting out, they're in that space of they just want to get going. Do you know what I mean? They just want to start seeing it build, and they'll let that slide out of wanting to kind of start seeing the success and a bit of achievement. But actually, I think that's the first step to the breakdown in any collaboration is not having that in place, because it's just standard business practice. And as soon as you wrap your head around the fact that actually it doesn't matter whether you're friends, it doesn't matter if you've known them your entire life, when it comes to your business, you have to take that friendship out of it and put some real kind of, you know, strategic bits in place, those foundations. Once you do that, I think it works so much better. Um,
Real quick, I'm not
yeah,
real quick. Can I just say real quick? That doesn't mean that I do that for like if I'm doing a Instagram or a Facebook swap with someone. No, I don't make us all have contracts for that. But I'm talking about like when your roles in business are meshing together. Like that's a real like there's a clear line.
oh
Therefore,
yeah, no, I completely
just
know.
throwing that out. Like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, no,
that
it
like
can
really
happen.
deep collaboration of things. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like all of you ladies, you've all signed agreements. I haven't called them contracts. You've all signed agreements. So you know what to expect from me, and you know what I need from you, ladies. My coaches within my membership also do the same. That is, it's like it just anything where my business reputation or personal reputation is attached to it. That's I just make sure it's in place just to protect me and to protect anybody else. And again, to set those expectation levels so everyone knows where they stand. We are coming towards the end of the show. So I just want to ask, is there anything else you ladies would like to say before we say goodbye to our viewers today?
Collaboration is definitely a good thing. Do more.
I love that, Taylor. Are we all in agreement? Like collaborations can be really impactful, and when done in the right way, are like really empowering.
Yes, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess what we're saying is don't be scared of collaborations. Just make sure you're smart about it so that, it can be a really positive experience rather than a negative. And if you do have a negative experience, then learn from it. And next time, kind of try to safeguard yourself a little. Yeah. So I guess thank you for the conversation today, ladies. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm hoping everyone who's watching this has enjoyed it too. As usual, if you want to join us on the next episode, hit the subscribe and, invite your friends to come and watch. If you need any support, reach out. The links are in the underneath. So, yeah, have a great day and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.